Hi, Leanne Donoghue-Tamplin here. Today I'm interviewing Cindy Troast, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer about a year ago. This is the first part of my interview with Cindy, and we'll be focusing on the strategies that she's used to cope with that stress and pain of the treatment process. She's also a certified law of attraction coach, and you'll see how she used these skills in her own process, but also she now uses them to help others direct their own breast cancer experience. So I hope you enjoy the interview, and I'll be back to review our progress soon. See you then. So I just want to start by just getting you to tell me a little bit about the obstacle that you have overcome, the kind of recent thing that's been a really big deal for you.
Yes, I was recently diagnosed with breast cancer.
Right.
And of course, like most people, it was a shock.
Yeah.
And so that was a pretty big obstacle. It's very unexpected and not something I had been thinking about or really planned on experiencing. So that was my big obstacle.
And when was that? When did you find that out?
That was in October of 2016.
Okay, so only recently, only less than a year ago.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah. And so you said you weren't expecting it, just, one of those kind of regular scans or something, or was it something you were worried about?
And then I just went into my doctor for a regular annual checkup, and she actually found a lump that I had missed. I hadn't found it. It was quite small, fortunately.
Yeah, right. Okay, so a complete shock, completely out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
And so when have you been given an all clear outcome? I mean, where are you up to in terms of the process?
Yes, thankfully I'm all clear. I went through surgery and radiation, and that all went extremely well. Right. And so I am cancer free.
Right. And so when did you get that outcome? When did you get that cancer free outcome?
Well, I had the surgery in October.
Right.
And they did a lumpectomy, so they just removed the lump that I had, and it was analyzed to ensure that the surgeon had gotten all of the cancer. And so I got that result within, a week or so after the surgery. And they also removed a few lymph nodes, which were tested, and those were all clear as well. Right. So really, right after the surgery, I was all clear. I was cancer-free, as best as we can tell.
Yes. And so do they say things to you like, we're going to check every 6 months or anything like that?
Definitely, yes. I have had my first 6-month mammogram, which was all clear as well. Yeah. So yes, I'm on a regular schedule of mammograms and going to my oncologist and just doing that follow-up work.
So if we were, for this interview today, to focus on from the time you were diagnosed, which was around October, to that the most recent 6-month checkup. So there's like a bit of a 6 or 7 month window there, because I'm assuming that between after the surgery, when you get the all clear, you're still a bit worried until, that checkup to kind of, just make sure, that everything was clear. So if we can focus on that period of time and just talk about what you did to get through that period, okay?
Sure.
Can we start by you telling me perhaps when the toughest time was? What was the hardest part of that 7-month window?
I think the hardest part was at the beginning, because you just don't know exactly what is going to happen or what to expect. And certainly breast cancer these days is very treatable, especially when it's caught early. But anytime someone says you have cancer, I think you immediately go to, I call it horribilizing, or imagining the most horrible things that could possibly happen. Yeah. Because at first, you're just not sure what is going to happen. So I think the very early part of it was probably the hardest.
Yeah. And do you think in that part, when you're in the unknown, are you in shock as well? Do you think you're, given it was such a surprise that you got the diagnosis, do you think, or were you kind of calm at that point?
At first it was quite shocking because
Yeah.
it was so unexpected. And I had been regularly going for my annual exams, and I was doing breast self exams as well.
Yeah.
I had just done my own self exam about 6 weeks prior to going for my annual
Right.
physical.
Yeah.
And so to be doing that on a consistent basis and still, have that lump, it was quite a shock. So I think initially I was definitely in shock.
Yeah.
But I didn't allow that to last too long because I needed to get my mindset right so I could take action and take the appropriate action.
So why did you think that?
Because I really believe that what we believe, what we think, our emotions, I think that we attract things to our lives. And I think if we don't have the proper mindset, we can make the circumstance seem so much worse than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I couldn't stay in that horribilizing, shocked state. I had to be in a positive frame of mind so that I could, for one, make decisions. Because when you're diagnosed with cancer, there are many decisions you have to make in a pretty small frame of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
So I wanted to have a clear mindset, and I wanted to be very positive about it. I wanted to direct my breast cancer experience and not be a victim of it.
Yeah, right. I think it's interesting. I want to ask you just about that, bringing things into our lives. Do you think that the breast cancer was something you attracted to yourself somehow?
I don't think I intentionally attracted breast cancer. I think that my belief about law of attraction is that like attracts like. I mean, that's the most basic definition of the law of attraction. So last year I was having a pretty stressful year. So I think emotionally and vibrationally, I was a match to breast cancer. I could have perhaps been a match to a car accident or some other disease, but I think that it just happened to be breast cancer. I don't think I intentionally attracted it, but I think I was a bit vulnerable to it. And obviously it did come into my life.
Yeah. And then what you chose once you got the diagnosis was to change. Instead of, I liked how you said, instead of being a victim of it, I wanted to control my experience of it. So you decided to create that in a more, make a more positive space for it to be in. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, one of the first things I did, actually within about 30 minutes of my doctor finding the lump, I left her office. I went out to my car. I cried. I was very upset, obviously. But because I approached life from a law of attraction perspective, I wanted to change my mindset immediately. I didn't want to attract anything else negative into my life.
Yeah.
So right then and there, sitting in my car in the doctor's office parking lot, I decided I need a mantra for this experience. I need a touchstone, if you will, that I can come back to again and again that is something positive. So I decided that my mantra for breast cancer was going to be, this is going to be easy. And that was my mantra throughout my experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And so whenever you felt any of those overwhelmed feelings or, fear or any of the things that would have been associated with cancer, you immediately instead went, this is going to be easy. Is that right?
I did, exactly.
So you were
paying attention.
Sorry, I was just going to say you were paying attention.
I chose that.
Go on.
I'm sorry. I chose that because when you hear cancer, I think in the culture, in the popular opinion is, ooh, that's hard. Yeah. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, what do I want? I've just been told I have this lump. It's more than likely cancer. I don't want it to be hard. I don't want it to be awful. So what do I want? I want it to be easy. So that's how I chose that mantra.
Yeah. Yeah. And so would you say then, like in terms of strategies, that was your main strategy, you would say, that you used to get through this? And so were you catching those thoughts that were in your head that you didn't want to be there, and instead putting in, you know, if any of those thoughts popped in, you would go, I don't want that thought, I actually want to make this easy. Is that how you did that?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I definitely was very aware of what I was thinking. And when you get a diagnosis like cancer, at least in my case and from other women I've spoken to, your mind just starts racing. And not just when you immediately find out that you have it, but, you know, the days and weeks after, your mind is always, you know, racing with these negative thoughts. So I constantly was checking my thoughts and going back to, hey, this is going to be easy. But I also did other things to help myself, and I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that.
Yep. What else did you do?
Sure. So what I also did was I started listening immediately to positive affirmations. And I had positive affirmations downloaded to my phone. So literally all day as I was working and just going about my daily life, I was listening to positive affirmations. And some of them were specifically affirmations related to cancer and beating cancer and surviving cancer. So I did that literally every day. And then in the evening, before I went to bed, I would listen to guided meditation regarding cancer, surviving cancer.
So it was a daily practice you were doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And was there anything else? Was there anything like exercise or, I mean, it sounds like even though your mantra was about it's going to be easy, that was almost like setting a bit of a goal for it as well, you know, having a bit of a plan how this is going to pan out. So I would kind of say that's a bit of both. But yeah, so was there anything else like other than that? So, I mean, that sounds really great in terms of keeping your stress levels down as well as keeping focused on that positive. Anything else you can think of?
Yes, I definitely did exercise because I think that's a great way to get rid of the stress that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Also, and some people may not agree with this, but I chose not to join any support groups, whether in-person support groups or online support groups. I didn't want to be around people who are talking about how sick they are. And that's not to discount support groups. I think if a support group is something that you feel will help you and really help you cope, then by all means, go to a support group. But for me, I really didn't want to focus on the cancer. I didn't want to focus on pain or anything like that. I wanted to focus on health because that's what I wanted to attract more of. I wanted more health.
Yes, that's really interesting. I think that's a really interesting concept. So almost like instead of going to a support group about cancer, going to a gym or something, you know, going to where people are focused on health. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Did you think there was...
And I also...
No, go on.
I also, when I interacted with any of the medical professionals, especially my surgeon who was going to do the lumpectomy, I told them what my mantra was. So, for example, when I met my surgeon for the first time, when he walked into the room, he was a very, very nice person, and I could tell he was trying to be sensitive and aware of how I must be feeling. But in a way, I felt like I'm being looked upon as a victim. So, not that was his intention. I have no doubt it was not. He was just trying to be kind.
Yes.
But I said right away, as soon as he sat down, I said, you and I need to get something straight. I said, my mantra for this experience is, this is going to be easy. So when you talk to me, when you look at me, when you're doing my surgery, when you're reading my chart, whenever you're interacting with me or thinking about me, I expect you to have that mantra as well, because together, this is going to be easy.
And how did he take that?
He was a bit shocked.
Yeah,
he was shocked. He almost, that automatic reaction of, whoa. And he said that no one had ever spoken to him like that. None of his patients had ever said anything like that to him.
Yeah.
And he said, in fact, that most women who are diagnosed believe they're going to die, no matter how early their cancer is caught.
Yeah, right.
So I said, I'm not dying. We're going to get through this, and we need to be positive about it. And he said, I am totally on board with that. He was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, that is good. I was actually, my next question was there anyone that gave you a lot of support, or any luck, or someone went out of their way to help you, kind of thing, that happened along the way? It sounds like he was pretty supportive.
He was very supportive. Something else great that he did was he asked me if I would like for him to play specific music or something specific in the surgery room while they were doing the surgery on me.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I have these affirmations. So he allowed me to take my phone into the surgery suite, and we played the guided meditation and affirmations around successful cancer surgery.
Oh, wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Awesome. It was wonderful.
Yeah, my understanding is they normally tell crass jokes while they're operating and listen to loud music. So that was really good that they mixed it up for you. Well done. Just want to pause the interview there so we can review some of the things we're learning from Cindy's story. She was saying that the toughest point was when she was first told about the diagnosis, and she was really teary. I think she said she was sobbing in the car, and she felt she was in shock, really surprised by the diagnosis. She said, though, after a short while, even by the time she got to the car in the car park, she decided she needed a more positive frame of mind. She wanted to be able to make good decisions, and she wanted to start feeling more in control, because she felt so out of control once she got the diagnosis. So because she's so committed to the law of attraction and the strategies that come with that, she quickly identified a mantra. She called it a mantra, which I see that as a positive statement that she was saying to herself to both reflect how she wanted to feel at the time, but also a goal she had for her experience. And that mantra was, this is going to be easy. Whenever she was feeling the fear or overwhelm of coping with the cancer diagnosis, she would repeat to herself, this is going to be easy. Some of the other strategies she said she used was lots of affirmations. She was listening to them on the phone all day. Meditation every night. I think she said they were focused on cancer meditation. So she was able to get hold of some cancer-focused meditations. She used regular exercise. She didn't use support groups. She, just for her own personal reasons, she felt she didn't want to be around people talking about the hardness and the difficulty and the sickness of cancer. She wanted to be more focused on the positive experiences. She also said that she shared her mantra with her treatment team, and that was really positive, because then the people around her were also focused on this is going to be easy. So she surrounded herself with lots of positive thinking people, even if she encouraged that in them herself. So that's kind of where we're up to with Cindy at the moment. I hope those are strategies that you're able to apply in your own life for whatever adversity you're going through. And the second half of Cindy's interview will be on a later podcast, and we'll go through the same process, and I'll give you a review at the end to pull out those skills and strategies she's using. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon.